Hi, I'm Trooper Smacka.
Hi, I'm Trooper Wellman,
Please stay tuned for a behind-the-scenes look at being a state trooper.
and together we can make a difference.
Here we are live at the 360.Vegas studios. We have Christina from Nevada Donor Network and, of course, Trooper Wellman with Trooper Talk. Christina, you have an extensive title and things like this that you do, so I'll let you explain to everybody your exact title and what you do. We want you to know that we appreciate you being here.
Nevada Donor Network is always looking for supporters in our community. So the number one way we ask for people to support our cause is get registered to be an organ, eye, and tissue donor. It's very easy. If you have an appointment coming up at a Nevada DMV office anytime soon, check yes to the organ donation question, receive that heart on your license, and your decision is completed. Now we know that time period in need of, updating your license can be quite a bit of time. You might not need to visit a DMV. You can also get registered by going to nvdonor.org and register right there online. It takes a couple minutes. It's the exact same decision. You can do that as well right there. If you are interested in supporting our cause and really getting out in our community and bringing awareness to organ, eye, and tissue donation, we're always looking for volunteers. nvdonor.org/volunteer. Similar to what I work with Trooper Wellman and what we do, we need people to help us reach our community, people that have stories related to donation or just are passionate about the cause. So we're always looking for that support as well. So that is another way you can support.
And what about businesses? Like if a business wanted to do a thing at their place, they could contact you and stuff like that?
Yes. So we also, within the last couple years, have launched a foundation, Nevada Donor Network's foundation. And the whole goal of that foundation is to end the wait list for the state of Nevada and for Nevadans who desperately wait. So the goal is to increase transplantation in the state of Nevada. Right now in Nevada, if you're waiting for a transplant, besides a kidney transplant, which is being currently transplanted at UMC, you have to leave the state. And obviously the financial burden for that can be very hard on someone who is supporting a family who has loved ones to worry about, who just can't imagine having to live in Utah, Arizona, California to be able to wait for that gift and receive that gift as well. So our goal is to end that wait, start more of a larger transplant program here in Nevada. So in National Donate Life Month, which is every April, we give businesses the opportunity to host an icon drive, which will benefit our foundation. And essentially, it's kind of, if you remember growing up, when you would go, you'd give that donation in a grocery store is probably the most common place. They would give you a paper that you could write your name onto, and then you'd place that paper up on the wall, and you can see all these people who had the heart to give back. And so that's one of the options that we give to businesses. But we have golf tournaments that benefit our foundation. We have a big gala that will be hosted in August. There are just several different ways that you can also financially contribute to that mission to end the wait. And if you want to learn more, nvdonor.org/foundation, and you can learn more about what our foundation is doing to impact our community.
Great, thanks. I want to put that in. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
in the middle, so that it's very important that we know how to get a hold of you, how to continue what we're doing. How to, if businesses want to get involved, if personal people want to get involved. You know what I mean, and all that stuff.
We love that.
So
Absolutely.
we appreciate it.
And honestly, it's conversations like this. I mean, we just recently had a story. Someone had heard a similar conversation like this over a radio broadcast, ESPN radio broadcast during a Nevada Wolfpack game up in Reno during a basketball game. And that led to him wanting to financially contribute to our foundation. And someone that was living in rural Nevada that we wouldn't have had that opportunity to reach any other way. So it is very important that we're on today having these conversations because the message can reach someone and then they want to contribute financially, or they get registered the following day and then the following week, unfortunately, they pass away. And then they're able to give that gift to someone else. So conversations like this matter, and they're incredibly important.
So maybe we can save a life this way.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? I mean,
Yeah.
we still have to save. No one's called me yet and said you've saved one life, but we're on the way. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Impaired drivers don't care if it's day or night. So I don't drink. Okay, so I see .08 and I'm like, I mean, you must be like, tipsy or something. I mean,
I'll tell you, this is a lot.
Yeah, I mean,
This is a
like
lot.
this person is like wasted.
I would be in the hospital, 100%.
Right.
Yeah, and this was in the morning. What we could take from this is thank you to our motoring public. We had a couple individuals actually called us in, Star NHP, 911. I know some people are hesitant when they're driving because they think the cell phone law, they'll get a ticket. You're exempt from calling 911. If there's an emergency, please call us. If you ever witness a vehicle that you believe maybe are having a medical episode, or reckless driving, any danger to the motoring public or themselves. So please always call us, and we appreciate it. Because of the actions of the motoring public, we were able to stop this vehicle and get this .272 impaired driver off the road.
I mean, we talk all the time, about not what to do, and we have Lyft, we have Uber, we have cabs, we have this, we have, what I mean? Like,
Yep, no excuse.
And the thing that I come back to as well is that, I don't know what the percentage of people, work a normal job, and go paycheck to paycheck, right? But whatever percentage that is of people, and, this is $10,000. Like, people don't, they complain because, they don't have enough money for, rent or the grocery shopping or the, you know what I mean? And like, they need to get a raise or, you know what I mean? But they'll go out and get wasted. And all of a sudden, what is it, 3 months or something for the license?
6 months.
6 months license suspension, right? I mean, I don't know. So, this is one of the things that is very passionate.
Same.
And very important here on Trooper Talk is the impaired drivers, because these are the ones that are driving impaired. They are driving wrong way. They are hitting people. They are doing things that, and they're putting the troopers, at risk.
Totally.
And so I always come to the fact that when the trooper has to walk up to the car or truck or whatever it might be, and the person is wasted, you have no idea what you're pulling up to.
Yeah.
And so we don't want anything to happen to them. So.
Yeah, and I say think about your loved ones. There was a case, I don't know if you remember this, back in high school, Lindsay Bennett, and she was hit by a wrong way driver, and I mean, her life ended at that moment, and that driver took away her entire life. And so I always think, like, would you want your loved ones, like your life? Like, it's as simple as calling an Uber. Like,
So it's interesting you bring Lindsay Bennett up because I work side by side with Andrew Bennett, which is Lindsay Bennett's brother, and he used to be our public information officer for Office of Traffic Safety with the state of Nevada. He recently was just promoted to the director of traffic safety for the county, so for Clark County. Andrew Bennett, I was going to bring him on the show one day to talk to you about traffic safety and, talk to our viewers and stuff. But yes, his sister was a dancer on the UNLV dance team, was driving home, and a wrong way driver hit her. And the story is very tragic. And Andrew will explain the story to the viewers and to you and tell you a bunch of key things on why he is so passionate about getting drunk drivers off the road. And he actually was one of the people that started Zero Fatalities here in town because of what happened to his sister. So his mission is to have no fatalities or no impaired drivers on the road ever. And because it hit home, not only because it hit home, but because he doesn't want to see that happen to anyone else.
yeah, and there were so many instances like that when we were younger. So I think the more awareness, and that's probably one of my favorite things about social media and the internet, is that more of these conversations can reach more people, because for us it was just, DARE and kind of some of the simple education things that I think still happen, but I think being able to see it in front of you on your cell phone, on the internet at any time, and just to like see the actual consequences and what can happen by a single moment and just that split second decision to get behind the wheel. And then,
There's an amazing program we have here in town called Every 15 Minutes. I don't know if you remember that in high school, but they actually simulate an actual fatality crash due to impairment, and they'll have the helicopter land and everything, and it's usually for the senior class, and the senior class will watch, and they pick a couple students out of the crowd to role play, so that way it actually affects, like, it hits them, and throughout the whole entire day, it's meant to, like, as if they really had passed, and, you know, you can no longer contact them or anything, and they do makeup, everything. We have the actual police cars that show up, the ambulances, they get transported, everything to make it feel and seem as real as possible, because sometimes seeing is believing, and that's unfortunate. But, you know, again, that's just to save a life and make sure our young adults aren't drinking and driving and making the right choices.
Right. And now we're coming up to, you know, it's been cold. I mean, forgetting the mask thing, you know, how people now want to go out and do whatever. But, you know, now it's cold today, but, you know, in a couple weeks from now, a month, you know, it's going to start getting warm again. And, you know, the people are going to start graduating. And now it's like, you know, let's go hang out and do all these things. And so we got to make sure
plan
it
ahead.
starts from the young group. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nevada police write more than 5,000 tickets in 2021 for drivers going over 100 miles an hour.
Wow.
So when I was talking and listening, you know, to some of my friends for, you know, that work for the Nevada Highway Patrol, like they can't understand it. You know, that you know, I mean, it's like, you know, whatever, people blow off steam and they do things, but like, you know, and I come back to the fact that some of these cars are made to do these type of speeds.
Right.
You know what I mean? But a lot of these cars are not made to do these speeds. And, you know, when you get up to these speeds, you know, you can't turn the wheel. I mean, you know, like...
Yes. Yeah. You know, unfortunately, so we thought when the pandemic had first happened, you know, we were seeing higher speeds because there was less traffic. Okay, we get it. We're going to be out there slowing you down because of that, our fatalities increased. So once the pandemic calmed down and people went back to work and our traffic flow went back to congestion, we thought these speeds would slow down. And unfortunately, people are still traveling at speeds way too fast. The posted speed limit is there for a reason, to prevent anything from, like, anybody from getting hurt or prevent car crashes or anything like that. So people need to slow down. I mean, that's plain and simple. They just need to slow down. I have troopers text me these images of their radar all day long so I can post it on our social media so that people know, like, that people are traveling at speeds this fast. And it's unacceptable. And I mean, we're out there enforcing traffic safety, and we only can do so much. So it really comes down to the public's own responsibility for their actions, and they need to slow it down, because they're going to have, and I just always keep saying it, but they're going to have fatal consequences, and it's just not worth it in the big picture. You're going to get to your destination eventually. You don't need to travel 129 miles an hour, 127. Like, that's for race cars. If you're going to travel that fast, go to a track, go to a designated area where you're allowed to drive that fast. Our highways is not where that's supposed to happen at.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that is required of you is, doesn't matter what time, day or night, that when there is a fatal accident, that you are required to go there.
Yes.
And so when you go there, and we take pictures of people's shoes, okay, to show that that was a life, okay, you know, we come back to the fact that, you know, we laugh and we joke and, you know what I mean, and all these type of things, but, you know, Trooper Wellman goes home and has to see these images of bodies because of what is going on. And so we always want to bring into account the fact that Trooper Wellman is a human and takes these images and these things home with her to her family. And so that's what we need to stop.
Yeah.
And because these are turning into tragedies that she and other troopers, because they have to do that too, they have to take these images home and these images are just too much.
Yeah, and leave your house 15 minutes earlier. Get up 30 minutes earlier and prevent this, because I'm looking at these speeds astonished.
Yeah.
I would be scared to drive. My limits, I was raised, don't drive more than 5 miles over the speed limit,
'cause they're gonna be there.
coming
Yeah.
in. And I have such, when I have been pulled over, I remember my first, time I was back in high school, and she was an incredibly friendly trooper, and she was like, listen, I'm not going to write you a ticket because you've never gotten one before. And I also had a little bit of a rear-ending situation. It was my first accident. And she's like, and I know you have to take care of that. But she's like, just leave your house 15 minutes earlier and I won't need to. Because I was lifeguarding at the time, like my high school job, you know. And you had to get up super early to get all the chairs out on the deck and get ready to open up the pool. But she was very friendly to me. And I think it's, again, thinking about others besides yourself. Yeah, you need to get to your location super fast, but what about if you miss seeing an entire family, as we just lost an entire family in an accident?
Yep.
And you don't see them because you turn away to look for 1 second at your phone while you're speeding like this, and then you clip someone's car, and then that's the end of their journey because of that decision.
Yes. This morning when I was driving, there was a piece of wood in the road.
Yep, the debris.
And I looked over to the stereo because I was going to change something. And as I looked up, I saw because it was in a different lane, in the right-hand lane, the piece of wood, and I saw a car drive over the piece of wood, and it wasn't in my lane. And exactly what I thought was, you're going to take your eyes off the road for 1 second to change a song or whatever, and all of a sudden, you're gonna hit, and so.
Similar thing happened to me this weekend. So I actually went to California this weekend. I took my daughter to her first USA National Women's Soccer team game. Yeah, it was super fun.
Yeah.
But when we were driving up there, you were saying I see a lot of fatalities. So the whole time I'm driving up there, I'm just on guard, waiting for a wrong way to come at me. Or I think about things in my mind, like my car is loaded with suitcases and blankets, and it's if something was to happen, I don't know. I see these images from prior fatalities, and so I'm driving, right, and all of a sudden the car in front of me was a bigger SUV than mine, so I couldn't see in front of them, and I see them swerve quickly, and luckily I had enough distance between them and in front of me that I had time to react, and there was a big bedliner from a truck in the number 2 travel lane, or the second travel lane, and so I looked to my left to make sure it was clear, and I just made the split-second decision to, jerk my car around it, and then I jerked back, and my family and my loved ones in the car were like, oh my gosh, how did you just do that? How did you react that fast? And I will say, part of my training and experience from this job alone helped with that, right?
Yeah.
I probably could have just hit it, and I would have taken damage to my car, but we would have been okay, but I don't know, when you have to think that fast, if it wasn't plastic, what if it was metal?
Yeah.
That big object could have caused our car to actually overturn. I could play scenarios all day. All I know is that I was very fortunate and very lucky that I had the reaction time I did, because the car was enough distance in front of me, and I wasn't speeding, and I kept thinking in my head, oh my gosh, what if I had touched the radio, or what if I was looking at my phone or talking to my loved ones or anything like that. I wouldn't have had time to react like that, and I hate to play Final Destination, but everything has an effect, and so as you're talking, that's what I was thinking in my head right there.
No, and that's exactly what I'm saying. And so, when we are driving, and we're all guilty of it, you know what I mean? But when we are driving, you know what I mean? And when, especially at these type of speeds, the paying of the tension is the most important thing. And so we're all guilty of changing the station, or you know what I mean? But but it's very important.
Yeah, it was scary. Got my adrenaline going, that's for sure. My heart rate.
And definitely not traveling at this speed. You don't touch the radio. You know what I'm saying? All you're looking for is how to, I don't know, but getting back to this from what we were said, but yes, it's the same type of idea. You would never think of traveling at this speed. I can tell you that I look at these, and I have a fast car, and I know how fast that is, and to see these people doing these type of speeds is just.
I'll tell you that I roll code, lights and siren to emergency situations, and I don't travel at speeds that fast. I can count. I've been a cop for over 10 years now, and I probably can count on one hand hitting speeds that fast. Just certain situations, but other than that, we don't even travel speeds that fast, and we're trained in emergency driving like that, and there's no excuse. There's no reason
excuse
ever to travel
whatsoever,
that
you know
speeds
what
that
I'm saying?
fast.
Leave 15 minutes earlier or get an Uber. You know what I mean?
Something.
All right, the Super Bowl. Think twice before getting behind the wheel. Well, this is after the Super Bowl, but all right.
Yeah, this was for
Plan
the Super
ahead
Bowl.
before you plan to catch a ride with us. So we all, the thing is that's really cool is that Nevada State Police has a lot of different vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
And so you think, oh, it's one like this one. And then all of a sudden the other day, they had a pickup truck that looked like, like.
That's in the back there. You just
like,
can't see
no
it.
one is ever driving this. And then all of a sudden it has the blinky lights on.
Yeah.
And so,
You're like-
I come to the fact that when you're driving, we always talk about that the troopers, they have the LiDAR so they can see you before you see them.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you blow past that ram at 100 miles an hour, you don't realize that's a cop. And he all of a sudden pulls behind you. And so, you never know what they're driving. And so just be safe, right?
Yep. Slow down, then you don't have nothing to worry about.
Slow down and you have nothing to worry about. Impaired driving is one of the top causes of motor vehicle crashes, injuries, and fatalities. Wrong way driving,
Yeah.
this is one of the things that unfortunately brings people to your
Yes.
network, which, is positive in that type of way.
Yeah.
I suppose if we could, get you 100% of all these lunatics, you know what I mean, that are doing these type of things, probably we would solve your problem in probably a week.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that, these decisions are still being made. And of course, Nevada Donor Network wants our community to be safe. At the end of the day, that's what's most important to us, and working with our partners at Nevada State Police Highway Patrol. And, that's the way that I think when you think about donation and the stories is that, there's so many different ways that lead to someone being an organ, eye, and tissue donor, whether that's a drug overdose, impairment.
I was going to ask. So if someone is in a tragedy like this, they were in a wrong, they were the wrong way driver or whatever. You know what I mean? They got killed, right? And it was their fault or whatever. And the family came to identify, or you know what I mean, whatever. Can they immediately go to you and see if there's something that can be done, or is that a process before the person, does someone have to be in, say that I want to be an organ donor, but if somebody, if you know what I mean, they have to check that box themselves?
So yes, twofold to both of your questions. So when someone makes the decision to become an organ, eye, and tissue donor, it's a first person legally binding decision. So it is their decision to be made, and no one can change that decision on their behalf. And that's why I say it's very important to have that conversation, because it's not that a loved one may be against your decision, it's that they are surprised because they're taken aback. They didn't know. It's the same as when you talk about burial choices. An older loved one in the family will say, no, my son wants to be buried because that's the way things have always been done. But then his wife says, no, we talked about cremation. Cremation is what he wanted. And it kind of throws someone off to know that, well, I never knew that that was what they wanted because we didn't have a conversation. So I think having the conversation and making those wishes known, absolutely. And then, of course, if someone hasn't made that decision, then it is up to their legal next of kin, their loved ones, to make that decision for them. And that's where, the guessing and what would they have wanted, is this something that was important to them, and trying to understand that, the same as all other afterlife decisions. You want to have that knowing and understanding of what that person wants. And same goes for parents when their children pass away. Very unfortunately, they make that decision for them on their behalf
as well. Okay.
So yeah, it's one of the toughest conversations to have, I believe, when someone hasn't made that decision, but it's almost equally the same amount of shock if you don't know, if that makes sense. And they made that decision.
100%. I just didn't know, and I was just, you know what I mean? That might be one of the questions that somebody would ask. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The wrong way drivers.
Yeah, these are starting to pop up around our
How many
state.
signs do you have there? And they still drive the wrong way.
Yeah. And so what those lights are, those are flashing lights to hopefully get the attention of someone that's going the wrong way. They're just another resource that was put in place to prevent someone from traveling the wrong way.
I mean, you see, I don't know if you've seen them, but, I talked to Trooper Wellman. They have those huge obnoxious signs on the other side of the freeway going the other way. I mean, like if you can't see that sign,
You're distracted.
Something.
Yes.
driver gets 8 to
right.
20 years in prison. Our friend, the tow truck driver.
Yeah. I believe his name was Ryan, if I'm not mistaken. It's Ryan, but I can't remember his last name at the moment.
We love the tow truck drivers.
He was huge member of the community. I attended his funeral after this event, and it was super sad. The tow community is very close to us. They work side by side with us. Our goal is always to clear the roadways as quickly as possible to prevent any future, crashes happening. And if it wasn't for our tow community and our partnership with them, we would sit on these scenes for hours. Like, they're amazing, and they're so fast at getting these cars and these roadways open with us. And so one of the things we do is we always try to look out for each other. So whether that be if I can sit on the side of the road behind them while they hook up a car, provide maybe extra lighting, or stand on the side of the road with my flashlight to make cars move over while the tow truck driver is hooking up the car. We always work together as a partnership, because just like us, they are on the side of the highway and they're in danger. And so what happened with this tow truck driver was he was on the side of the road hooking up a car. We weren't there on this call, and another person that was impaired drifted over. She sideswiped him and actually killed him and left him on the side of the road and left the scene. We did extensive follow-up and investigating work by our detectives, which within, I believe it was 24 hours, maybe just a little bit longer, we actually located the suspect and got her into custody. And she just got sentenced to 8 to 20 years in prison for her actions. But no matter what, I mean,
he lost his life.
He lost his life.
He's not coming home to dinner.
Exactly. And his family, they never get him back. And I actually found out that not too long ago, Ryan, his sister-in-law, is a Metro officer, and she was talking to me about the case and thanking us on how quickly we located the suspect. And because it was a hit and run, like, we only had minor evidence that we were going off of, and we didn't have witnesses and stuff. And so we really, really put a lot of time and effort in this case to get justice for Ryan, as much as we could, at least. And it's just beyond tragic. And that could have been one of us, or anybody. That could have been you changing your tire on the side of the road. Yeah, that's the reality of it. It's disgusting that it's all preventable. So
you got to stop these people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Driver in Las Vegas. Third time DUI.
Wow. Third time.
Look at those eyes. Holy smokes. There's not much we can say, but you know what I mean? 3 times, 5 times, 6, 85 times, right? Before they get arrested.
usually, I'll tell you right now.
85 times they drive drunk before they get arrested.
Yeah, the average person.
85 times.
I can't believe that.
Yeah. I don't know much about this one. I don't know which one this one is.
It's just,
Saharan 215. I want to say that was Metro. So.
we're done already.
Oh, yeah. We've been talking a hot minute.
Johnny, how long was that, huh?
It's all day.
Look at all right, we better wrap it up, or else Johnny will make us crazy. Let me say to you this. We appreciate you coming today and hanging out with us on the Trooper Talk. You know what I mean?
Wonderful.
I know that Trooper Wellman got to hang out with you, and that's cool. We get to see their synergy, and it was very important for Trooper Wellman to bring you today, so that we could talk about this and open this conversation.
Yes.
And so we're gonna have this time again. You know what I mean? We'll see what we can do. We'll put something together. For April or something during that.
Yes, exactly.
During that month or something, you know what I mean? We do something at the store or whatever, but we'll talk about that later. So, thank you very much for coming, Trooper Wellman. Thanks again.
Thanks for
we
having me.
got the laugh a little bit.
Yeah.
Normally we get the sad when I show you something.
I'd rather
very
laugh
bad,
than
you know what
cry.
I mean?
Trust me.
This time it was your face turned red out of excitement. Yeah, you did great.
It's just natural. I can't control it.
I know. What can I say? I do that to people.
All right, we're going to turn towards this, and we're going to say goodbye. And so we will see you real soon. All right, thank you.
Thank you.